Hi, my name is Rachel, and I am 27 years old. I have always believed that family is the safest place in this world, the one roof where love remains untouchable. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel, like it, spread the word, and tell us where you're watching from. For me, that roof was not just my parents' old house, but also the bond I shared with my younger sister, Claire. She was the light in our family, the one who could make people laugh with the smallest joke. I admired her softness while I carried the weight of responsibility on my shoulders. Growing up, things weren't easy. Our parents struggled to keep food on the table. I remember nights when I pretended not to be hungry so Claire could eat my share. I was only a teenager then, but I carried that secret proudly, convinced that protecting her was my purpose. Maybe that is why, even years later, after I started working and building a life, I still felt like I owed her something. When I got my first real job, I felt relief like I'd never known before. Every paycheck was more than money. It was proof that my sacrifices had meaning. I would come home late, shoulders stiff, feet aching, and Claire would wait up for me. She'd bring me a cup of tea, ask me about my day, and smile like my hard work was also hers. "You look so tired," she'd say, her voice soft, "but I'm proud of you." That single sentence made my exhaustion worth it. I believed her. Pride was genuine, and maybe, for a time, it was. Life rolled forward, and I became better at saving. I kept a separate account where I tucked away small amounts each month. I dreamed of a future, maybe buying my own apartment or even starting a small business one day. Claire knew about it because we never had secrets. At least, that's what I thought. But soon, I started noticing gaps, tiny amounts missing, nothing dramatic at first. I brushed it off, thinking maybe I'd forgotten an automatic payment or miscalculated my expenses. After all, numbers never were my strong suit. One night, I sat at my desk balancing receipts with my online statement. My forehead pressed against. My palm, the figures didn't line up. "Claire," I called as she walked past my room, "do you ever feel like money just disappears?" She leaned against the doorframe, holding a half-eaten apple. "Disappear? Like magic?" She laughed lightly, almost too lightly. "I mean, like charges you don't remember?" She shrugged. "You work too much. Maybe you just forget." "Don't worry, Rach. You're better at saving than anyone I know." Her reassurance settled me for the night. But somewhere deep down, a small, restless seed of doubt took root. Still, I pushed it aside. After all, this was Claire, my little sister, the girl whose hand I held when she was scared of thunder, the one I had defended in school when others mocked her for being too quiet. Betrayal was a word I could never attach to her. Weeks passed, then months. My account balance continued to slip in ways I couldn't explain. Each time I opened the banking app, my stomach twisted tighter. And yet, every evening, Claire greeted me with the same warm smile. She asked about my work, cracked jokes, and played music while we cooked dinner together. One evening, I came home after a long, draining day. The office lights had burned in my eyes for hours, and my feet ached in my shoes. I dropped my bag on the couch and let out a sigh. Claire sat cross-legged on the floor, scrolling through her phone. She looked up and grinned. "Bad day?" "Somewhere says worst," I muttered. "Then sit. I'll make tea." She jumped up, her energy the opposite of my fatigue. As I watched her move around the kitchen, a pang of guilt hit me. How could I doubt someone who cared so much? Her laughter filled the silence, light and familiar, as though nothing between us could ever break. But the truth waited for me the next morning. I had gone to the bank because I couldn't shake the worry anymore. Sitting at the desk across from the banker, I explained that I wanted to review my account in detail. He pulled up the records, polite and professional. But then, almost casually, he said something that froze my blood. "Since both you and Claire are listed as authorized names here, would you like her statements printed as well?" I blinked. "Wait, what?" He turned the screen slightly toward me. There it was, clear and undeniable. My sister's name, right next to mine. Not as a beneficiary, not as an emergency contact, as someone with full access. I felt my hands tremble on the table. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure he could hear it. Claire's smile, the one I trusted, the one that made me feel safe, suddenly looked different in my memory. It was still her smile, but now it seemed like a mask hiding something I had been too blind to see. I didn't say a word to the banker. I nodded stiffly, gathered the papers, and left. Outside, the sunlight felt harsh, almost cruel, burning into my skin as if exposing the truth I had been avoiding. Walking home that day, I carried not just the papers in my bag, but also a weight in my chest that pressed down harder with every step. My sister's name was written in black ink, but to me it was carved deep into my heart. That night, when she smiled at me again over dinner, I finally realized her smile was the shadow I had ignored for far too long. The papers from the bank lay folded in my bag like a secret I wished I could burn. But no fire would erase what I had seen. Every step home felt heavier than the last, as if the truth itself was pressing down on me, daring me to face it. That night, I sat at the edge of my bed, staring at the wall. My hands trembled when I touched the folder. Claire's name was printed there, clear and permanent. She had been withdrawing $1,000 every single month. The same Claire who smiled at me daily, who laughed at my tired stories, who hugged me on my darkest nights. Sleep refused to come. My chest ached as though betrayal had become a physical wound. I tried to tell myself there must be some mistake, but the numbers were too precise, the pattern too neat. I had trusted her with my whole life, and this was what she did with that trust. By morning, my decision was made. I couldn't carry this weight alone anymore. I had to confront her. I found Claire in the kitchen, humming to herself while frying eggs. The smell of butter filled the air, warm and ordinary, but my stomach churned. My voice felt stuck in my throat, but I forced it out. "Claire, can we talk?" She turned with her usual smile. "Of course, what's up?" I pulled out the papers and set them on the table. My hands shook, but I kept my eyes on her. "Do you want to explain why your name is on my bank account?" Her smile faltered just for a second, then returned. "What do you mean?" "You know exactly what I mean," I said, my voice sharper than I intended. "You've been withdrawing money, $1,000 every month. Why?" She blinked, her fork clinking against the pan. "That's ridiculous. Why would I—" "Don't lie to me." My voice cracked. I saw it with my own eyes. The kitchen fell silent except for the faint hiss of the pan. Claire's face shifted, a war between guilt and defiance. Finally, she set the fork down and crossed her arms. "Fine," she said quietly. "Yes, I took it. But you wouldn't understand." My chest tightened. "Then make me understand." Her eyes flashed with something I had never seen before. Bitterness. "You've always been the responsible one, the strong one, the favorite. You built your life, your savings, your future, and I was just there, watching. Do you know how it feels to always be the one who needs, never the one who gives?" I swallowed hard. "So stealing from me was your solution?" "It wasn't. Stealing," her voice rose. "I'm your sister, family shares. I thought you'd want to help me, even if I didn't ask out loud. I deserve support too." Her words cut deep, sharper than any blade. The sister I had protected, loved, and trusted had turned my sacrifices into entitlement. "Claire," I whispered, tears burning my eyes. "Do you know how many nights I worked myself sick to save that money? Do you remember when I skipped meals so you wouldn't go hungry? Everything I've ever done was for us. And you—" My voice broke. "You turned my love into a paycheck." She flinched but didn't back down. "Maybe I did it wrong, but I was drowning. And you never noticed. You were too busy being perfect, being strong. I wanted a piece of your strength. I wanted to breathe." For a moment, silence hung between us like a wall. I saw not just my sister, but a stranger hiding inside her. A stranger fueled by jealousy and unspoken pain. I turned away, gripping the edge of the counter until my knuckles whitened. The kitchen that once felt like our safe place now felt cold, alien. "I would have helped you," I said softly. "If you had asked. All you had to do was ask." Her eyes filled with tears. I was afraid you'd say no. The ache in my chest deepened. Love and anger twisted together, making it hard to breathe. She was still my sister, but she had shattered something fragile between us. I picked up the papers and pressed them to my chest. I can't pretend this didn't happen. I need to protect myself now. That means closing the account. Removing. Your name. Setting boundaries. Claire's lips trembled. So that's it? You're choosing money over me? No. My voice shook. I'm choosing self-respect. Because if I don't, I'll lose myself completely. And then neither of us wins. She sank into a chair, covering her face with her hands. I wanted to reach for her, to comfort her the way I always had. But I couldn't. Not this time. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. I turned and walked to my room, each step echoing with finality. I closed the door softly, but the weight behind it felt like closing a chapter of my life I never wanted to write. Inside, I sat on my bed, staring at the papers again. My tears finally fell, soaking the ink until the letters blurred. Trust. Once broken, does not repair itself overnight. Yet somewhere beneath the pain, a tiny flicker of hope remained. Maybe distance could teach us both what closeness had blinded us to. Maybe love could still exist, even if it had to live behind boundaries. That night, the house was quieter than ever before. No laughter, no music, no shared tea at the table. Just silence. Thick, uneasy silence. And in that silence, I realized something. Love can survive betrayal, but it will never be the same. The wound might heal, but the scar would remain. And perhaps in time, I would learn to see the scar not as an ugly mark, but as a reminder of the strength it took to choose myself. For now, though, I lay in bed with swollen eyes, listening to the hollow stillness of our home. My heart ached, but my decision was firm. Healing had to begin somewhere. And for me, it began here, with distance, with boundaries, and with the courage to face tomorrow. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel, like it, spread the word, and tell us where you're watching from.